We're going to start the Admin and Finance Committee in just a minute. Roll call, please.
Dr. Beebe? Dr. Beebe is present. Dr. Bopey? Dr. Bopey is present. Ms. Bradford? Here. Ms. Bradford is present. Mr. Garvey? Mr. Garvey is present. Mr. Gio?
Present.
Mr. Gio is present. Ms. Harris? Ms. Harris is not present. Ms. Hill? Ms. Hill is not present. Dr. Moranti? Present. Dr. Moranti is present. Ms. Orange Jones? Ms. Orange Jones, I know she's here. Not present. Mr. Romer? Okay, Mr. Romer is here, but not present. Ms. Smith? Ms. Smith is not present. We have a quorum.
Thank you. First item.
The consent agenda is ready for approval, adding items 5.1, 7.1, and 8.1, and pulling items 2.1, 2.2, 3.1, 5.1, and 8.1.
Okay, do I have a motion to accept the consent? Mr. Garvey? Ms. Bradford seconded. Any objection to that motion? Motion carries. Next item.
On page 1, item 2.1, consideration of a report of 8G block grant projects for elementary secondary education for fiscal year 2015-2016. The recommendation is to receive.
We have a motion to receive.
So moved.
Dr. Bopey, Ms. Moranti. Any conversation on this item? Any discussion before we go to comment cards?
Mr. Young, this is just to a report that we're receiving. It's not the actual approval of the grant.
That's correct. We're just receiving the report.
Okay.
That's correct.
Because the reason I'm asking is St. Martin Parish is a recipient, and I want to refuse myself.
Okay.
But I think that comes later in the meeting.
Yeah. Okay, thanks. Sandra Enel. Comment card. Millenburg Neighborhood Association. Okay, not present. Any other discussion from the board on this item? Any objection to the motion? Motion carries. Next item.
On page 15, item 2.2, consideration of RSD contracts of $50,000 and under approved by the State Superintendent of Education. The recommendation is to receive.
Do I have a motion to receive? Ms. Bradford? Second, Dr. Bopey. Any discussion from the board on this item?
I would just like to ask for clarification. What is happening here?
Sorry, about which one are you speaking?
This is the vendor CB&I Government Solutions, and it says to provide a soil disposal site inspection. Is that just to determine the?
It's a new school building site, and I'm not an engineer, so I don't know the specifics of this. But a soil inspection for environmental purposes would be a standard procedure at a new site.
It's a new site?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Any other discussion from the board? Have a comment card from Ms. Sandra Ewell. Ms. Ewell, you present? Okay. Any objection for the motion? Motion carries. Next item.
On page 25, item 3.1, consideration of audit reports. Recommendation is to receive.
Do I have a motion to receive the report? Dr. Bopey, and seconded by Dr. Moranti. We do have a couple of comment cards, but any discussion from the board before I go to public comment? Dr. Beebe?
We have a number of contracts relative to providing reporting services. Third-party neutral work with local educational agencies, with parents and students, with exceptionalities to help resolve issues. I know within local, is this for the RSD or is this for the entire state?
Which page are you on?
On page 18, well, you have a number of pages.
We're on page 25, the receiving the audit report.
So we skip 2.3?
2.3. It was on consent agenda,
Oh, I thought you pulled it. No?
not 2.3.
Oh, well.
I mean, we can go back and pull it if you like after this item.
Okay, I'd like to do that at the appropriate time.
Okay?
So we're on 3.1?
3.1, the audit report.
Okay,
So I'm going to go to public comment. Frank Buckley.
that's fine.
And Elizabeth Jeffers, if you'd come up, please.
Frank Buckley from New Orleans. I'd like to have a consideration of the $1 8/10 billion of FEMA money that was sent to New Orleans to help after Hurricane Katrina, to help rebuild, refurbish, and renovate schools. As of today, there are a number of schools that have yet to be rebuilt or refurbished.
That's fine.
There are some, and it appears to the people in New Orleans, the schools that are being rebuilt and refurbished are being
Mr.
given
Buckley,
to.
I don't think that's relevant to the receiving this audit
It
report.
said consideration of audit reports.
We do have an audit report here, but it's not specifically or germane to this
So
conversation.
could we have done the audit report first, so then I know how to respond to that, or you ask for public comment first?
Yes, but a public comment on this audit report.
Okay, so I can just wait till 5.1 to come back with that one? Okay, thank you.
Ms. Jeffers.
Good morning. My name is Elizabeth Jeffers, currently an educator, taught in New Orleans Public Schools for 10 years, attended East Baton Rouge Parish Schools, 2 generations, and also OP Orleans Parish.
Ma'am, could you
schools.
speak a little
Oh.
clearer into the microphone?
Hi,
please?
my name is Elizabeth Jeffers. I'm a teacher, educator, worked in New Orleans schools for close to a decade. I was a former student in East Baton Rouge Parish Schools, as well as my parents were, and also was a student in Orleans Parish. I'm looking at this auditing information, and I just have some questions and I need some clarification. Would you be able to provide that? I mean, I don't know how that works.
Well, this isn't a give and take, but if you have a specific request, we can get the information forwarded to you.
Okay.
That's it, if it's in addition to this report.
Right, so I'm looking at the ITQSG program, correct? And that is,
Improving teacher quality state grants is what it's
yes,
called, yes.
and the objective is to provide grants to state SEAs and LEAs in order to increase student academic achievement with such strategies as teacher and principal quality, increase the number of highly qualified teachers in the classroom, assist schools in effective recruiting, retaining highly qualified teachers, afford, and whatnot. But my main concern here is I wrote down all the different allocations. Is that in this audit report, it's showing that KIPP New Orleans received $35,000, just I guess pertaining to this specific audit. New Orleans College Prep, $11,000. My main concern is instructional strategies for the Office of Juvenile Justice, $2,000. We know in New Orleans that that's a major issue in terms of incarcerated youth at Youth Study Center and in Orleans Parish Prison now. And as a former educator in a high school, I very well much know that a lot of, teenagers and whatnot, unfortunately get caught up in that system, especially when they're expelled and suspended, and, get pushed out. That's the way I view it. However, I do know that y'all have been working on improving that since I left the classroom. However, I see only $2,000 being allocated to the Office of Juvenile Justice.
So Ms. Jeffers, this is an audit report of
Yeah, that's what I
previously
wanted.
approved grants to these entities. Do you have a specific question on the audit report?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to understand. Like what are you auditing? Like, what are you showing? And why are some schools getting more than other schools? That's my question.
Well, the auditor's just validating what was spent versus what was said we were going to spend that was previously approved
Okay, I just needed more information because I research education.
What specific information would you like?
I was just wondering why the Office of Juvenile Justice only received $2,000. I guess that's just what y'all
Okay.
were looking into.
Sure.
Yeah, okay, I just needed some clarification.
Okay, it's on the next item?
I think she is asking about a list of allocations that are not on this item.
This is 3.1. This is 3.1. We're expanding advanced placement program by 503,000, which I actually had a question about that specifically because I wanted to know if that was going to all the schools or if that was just going to specific schools. I don't know. I mean, I just want to know more information about how can we get information on that auditing? Like, how can we get that auditing
Do
information?
you have a question about the audit for the Improving Teacher Quality State Grant? Yes or no?
I think 3.2 is where your question is.
Okay, I might be. Thank you so much. I'm just trying to understand all y'all's documents.
Thank you.
So if you have a question on 3.2, do you have a card filled out for 3.2? Okay, thank you. Any other conversation or discussion from the board on receiving the audit report? I think, did Dr. Moranti, did you second the motion? Dr. Moranti. Any objection to the motion? Motion carries. Next item. Yeah, Dr. Beebe, we'll go back to 2.3.
It's on page 17, item 2.3.
Well, my question is this, are we approving this for all schools within,
Why don't we go ahead and
State.
get a motion on the floor to receive the report?
I move,
Huh? Because Dr. Beebe moves to do that. Is there a second? Mr. Romer seconded. Okay, let's have some discussion then, Dr. Beebe.
okay, let me be more specific with the question. I see a number of vendors who will be providing services. Is this within regions or is it within a certain location?
I think it really
There are
depends.
some at 45,000, and, and I know these are contracts less than 50, so, but I see multiple contracts. We're being asked to approve these multiple contracts, so I'm just wondering why the different, and I hope I'm
Well, you're not being asked to approve. These are items that you're just asked, you're receiving, because the decision's already been made. These are below the $50,000 threshold. And I think these are for a variety of services. I can walk through just some examples. Some of them, for example, are for interpretive services at special hearings. Some of them are for tutoring. Some of them are for translation. You have industry-based credential providers. So this is just a wide array of primarily federally funded, IDEA, Carl Perkins funded services that are below $50,000. I'm happy to answer questions about any specific one.
No, well, so in essence, they're just for individual districts, it's money that is provided to the district to have these additional services.
In some cases, but some of them would be like translation services at a public meeting that the state is holding, and we need to pay for that. So there would be some where, for example, you'd have training for teachers. Those trainings obviously would be to teachers who are employed by school systems, but some of them are just for state functions here in Baton Rouge.
Well, I'm just thinking, as superintendent we have to live within our means, and we have personnel employed by the system, and those individuals are responsible for providing these services. And it appears to me it's a lot of money going to different folks when it appears that it should come from within with the personnel that you have on staff.
Well, I don't know. I mean, it's $450,000. This is part, as with you, you have contracts. These are the contracts the state has too. And these are for services that couldn't be done by staff here. For example, some of them are teachers that are drafting curriculum. We don't have, dozens of people to write curriculum. Those need to be people here, or teachers. Some of them are for translation services. We do that because we don't have translators on staff. Some of them are, as I'm sure is true in St. Martin, outside professional development organizations.
We do as much as we can, and I'm sure other systems as well. But so you've explained. I'm just making note that while it is $474,000, it is a considerable amount when you do have staff. That's the point I'm making.
Any further discussion? Any objection to receiving the report? Motion carries. Next item.
On page 41, item 4.1, consideration of LDE contracts and leases of $50,000 and over. The recommendation is to approve.
Do we have a motion to approve? Ms. Bradford, seconded by Mr. Garvey. Any discussion on this side? I'll go to public comment first, and then we'll have discussion. I'm going to call up the first four individuals. Laura Vincent, Makaya Collins, Lisa De Aguila, Cardell Heyman.
Good morning.
Morning. Go ahead and please state your name. And
my name is Lisa DeQuilla, and I'm the Director of Human Capital with Point Capee Parish School System, and I thank you for allowing me to speak today on behalf of TFA. I've worked in this position since 2010, and every year TFA has played a great part in meeting the district's staffing needs. With the help of TFA, Point Capee has placed highly qualified teachers in many hard-to-staff positions. Point Capee Parish is a rural district, and the district struggles with attracting certified teachers. In 2014-15, we hired 17 Teach for America candidates. We were informed that the number of available candidates would be reduced. Fortunately, the district hired 9 candidates in the 2015-16 school year. Looking forward to 2016-17 school year, we are anticipating many vacancies and hope to again hire Teach for America candidates to meet those needs. I would like to also emphasize that Teach for America not only brings highly qualified, certified teachers, but they also bring highly trained teachers. In researching the data, the district has recognized that many of our top gains were in classrooms with Teach for America instructors. And we're very thankful to have that as part of our team. Thank you.
thank you for your input. Appreciate you being here. Cardell Heyman. Mr. Heyman?
Yes, sir. I'm Cordell Heyman from Baton Rouge. I'm Senior Vice President of SGS Petroleum Service Corporation, and I have the honor of serving as the chair of the board of Teach for America for South Louisiana. So I'm here today representing the members of our board of directors who are a very engaged and philanthropic group of local citizens who are supporters of public education and in particular of Teach for America. I've been the board chair of TFA now for 11 years, so obviously I've decided that it's something very important. And the reason is that I have seen the incredible work that's been done by these bright and motivated teachers that we brought oftentimes from other states, but often from within Louisiana. The hard work that they've done, many of them have now evolved into positions of leadership or school leaders, and I think the contribution that they are making is continues to be transformative, along with many others who are working to improve public education in Louisiana. So the funding for this effort that we receive through BESE is critical to our success. You've been supportive of us in the past, for which we thank you, and I ask you to continue that support.
Thank you for your input, Ms. Tam. Appreciate you being here. Ms. Collins?
My name is Markayla Collins, and I'm currently a sophomore at Lee Magna High School. I'm a member of the girls soccer team, Student Government Association, and drill team at Lee Magna High School. I'm standing in front of you all to tell you how much Teach for America has impacted and continues to impact my life. It all started in 6th grade when I met a wonderful math teacher by the name of Miss Kelly Quinlan. Miss Quinlan had been placed in our schools through Teach for America. As a child, I thought fighting was always the answer and constantly got put out of school. Until Miss Q told me she saw so much potential in me and I was too smart to be getting put out of school. She saw so much potential in me that she requested me to be tested for gifted. As Miss Q expected, I passed the test and was placed into a more advanced program. Miss Q continued to support me even though I was placed out of her class. For example, a couple months of taking grade scholar classes, I was struggling in social studies. I went to Miss Q for help. We then arranged so she could tutor me. She helped me understand these lessons better, even though she was a math teacher. In 6th grade, I didn't have the perfect grades, nor was I concerned about them until I got into grade scholars. Miss Q would often sit me down and tell me the importance of my grades. Ever since she sat me down, I would work even harder to make her proud. I now take my grades seriously now that I understand that my future path depends on my education. After 2 years in Baton Rouge, Miss Q left Baton Rouge to return to her hometown of Atlanta. Just because she left doesn't mean she left my life. Although she moved away the summer of my 6th grade year, that didn't stop her from being a mentor and a teacher to me. Until this day, if I'm struggling on a lesson, she will call me and she will teach me the lesson over the phone. She is always here for me, whether it's academic or personal issues. She lets me know that whatever I'm going through, I'm not alone. She also lets me know how much I have grown since we first met. My 8th grade year, she introduced me to Baton Rouge Youth Coalition, and she told me I should join. BRIC is a college access program for high-achieving, under-resourced teens. BRIC founder and currently executive director are both Teach for America alumni and Teach for America co-member, play a major volunteer role at BRIC. My mother and I went to a BRIC open house. My mother thought BRIC would be a great program for me. My mother and Miss Q will always ask me if I applied for BRIC. Once I was accepted to BRIC, I told my mother and Miss Q, and they were so excited for me. Before I joined BRIC, I never thought about what college I wanted to go to, what I wanted to major in, and what the ACT was. I was never a friendly person until I got to BRIC. Since I've been in BRIC, my cohort will have leadership seminars and we will discuss different topics. It allowed me to keep an open mindset because everyone doesn't think like me. Someone might think differently from me and have me view the topic different than I first viewed it. If I would have never met an amazing teacher like Miss Q, I wouldn't be on the path that I'm currently on, and I wouldn't be in BRIC. I can only imagine how much trouble I would be in if it wasn't for Miss Q. And with that being said, it only takes one person to change another person's life around for the better. And that person was brought here by Teach for America. You could say that because for Teach for America, I am on the path towards college.
Thank you for taking the time to be here and sharing that. Sam?
Good afternoon. My name is Laura Vincent. I'm the Executive Director of Teach for America South Louisiana. Thank you for allowing us the opportunity to speak today. I'll share just a few brief points, and then we actually had some school district partners who traveled a great distance to be here with us today, and I'm hoping the board will also hear their remarks. This contract will actually continue Teach for America's work that we've been doing for the past 25 years across our state. This contract supports 380 teachers who are in their 2-year commitment and over 1,000 alumni across the state who continue to work in education. The one thing I feel like is really important to highlight is Teach for America's work in providing a diverse talent pipeline for teachers in our state. Currently, 52% of our core members identify as people of color, and 32% of our core members identify as coming from a low-income background and share the identity of their students. 24% of our teachers are actually the first in their family to graduate from college. So when you consider the talent that we're bringing into the state, please also consider the diversity that we're bringing into talent pipelines across the state. Thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate your input. Okay, Ms. Jeffers? Elizabeth Jeffers, Lee Barrios, Thelma Prater, and Roxana Butler. Ms. Jeffers.
Okay. In the last 6 or 7 years, BESE has awarded over $13 million to Teach for America to supply, according to their contracts, approximately 5,000 teachers. John White, and Patrick Dobar signed contracts for a total of $1.4 million with Teach for America to recruit and place teachers in the Recovery School District during 2012, 2013, 2014 school year. Over the past 7 years, Louisiana Department of Education, $2.7 million in contracts. However, during the last BESE election, Teach for America national and regional former and current board members and executives, Ms. Orange Jones, they donated $65,000 to your campaign. Well, that was 2011. You know, for yes. So we also know that Ms. Orange Jones, you're the executive director of Teach for America, Louisiana area. So also that seems to be a conflict of interest. And my concern with Teach for America, although I do have family members who have been in Teach for America, and I did apply and was accepted to the program, but my largest concern is that those of us who are graduates of four-year colleges and graduate schools in education, and we do our student teaching and whatnot, with bringing in all these mostly out-of-state teachers to Louisiana, it just seems like they receive favoritism over the local educators, because many local educators, such as myself, have to leave the state to obtain teaching jobs and education jobs. And it's not just in teaching, it's also, you know, through organizations like New Leaders for New Schools, Summer Principals Academy, the Broad Center, Broad Residency and whatnot. A lot of Teach for Americas, through the different programs they have, enter these programs, and then local educators you know, have to leave the state. For example, I have 2 master's degrees in education, one in curriculum, one in administration, and I'm working on my PhD in education. And I would like to return to my state and service the children in my community, but I feel, and I've applied, because there's so many Teach for Americas who have stayed in our city, in our state, local educators can't obtain, you know, equal employment opportunities. That's just my perspective. And, yeah.
Appreciate your input, Ms. Orange Jones. You get her to respond. Okay. Ms. Barrios?
Barrios, retired teacher from St. Tammany. We need to be turned up to difficulty to count in the audience. One thing. My issue is not with these very capable students who are recruited through TFA. I thought I had it on, sorry. Recruited through TFA. I know a good number of them. I've been working with a group of TFAs, highly capable, highly educated. The possibilities for these people to become experienced, fully trained teachers would be incredible if we would partner with TFA. But that's not the case. Instead, we're outsourcing a recruitment of our teachers for this state and giving no effort to actually recruiting certified, fully certified teachers in this state. You've removed the National Board Certification Office from the Department of Ed. And to clarify for the public that doesn't know, the only reason that Teach for America teachers are deemed highly qualified, back when No Child Left Behind was passed, approximately 2001, every teacher had to be certified as highly qualified. That meant that already certified teachers had to jump through hoops if they weren't, for instance, in the state of Louisiana, elementary certified teachers were allowed to teach 7th and 8th grade, wherein they were only teaching one subject. With No Child Left Behind, to be highly qualified, they had to take the praxis test again to be qualified for those single subjects to teach them all day. So that's what highly qualified really was designated for. The reason TFA is designated as highly qualified is a series over several years of amendments tacked on to various bills like the Congressional Debt Bill to deem them as highly qualified. And that continues to be extended. I don't think it's been made permanent yet. So that's why they're called highly qualified. And we don't use the term certified in this state anymore. But one of the other problems, besides the fact that they don't get complete training, and many of them acknowledge that, there's very little transparency and accountability for these teachers. There's no reporting as to how many teachers and who they are actually are placed in our schools. It says 380 for this amount of money. Where are they going to go? What are their salaries? How long do each of these, where's the reporting for how long each of these teachers stay? Do they have exit interviews like certified teachers are required to have? What's the consistency in the allocation of these fundings? This one is for $500,000 for 380 teachers. We've had grants for, or contracts, I guess they're called, for $1 million for 200 teachers. There doesn't seem to be any rhyme or reason for the amount. If I were to file a public information request, what are the chances that I would get this information that I asked for? Certified teachers in this state, their information is, they're held fully accountable, and it's transparent. They're listed online as to their certifications. We need to do that if we're going to continue to hire these Teach for America teachers. And I would ask the department and BESE to begin recruiting certified teachers, particularly from our own universities. Thank you.
Ms. Prater?
Good morning. My name is Thelma Prater. I'm the Assistant Superintendent in DeVos Parish, and I'm speaking in behalf of Teach for America. We have been in partnership with Teach for America since 2012, and we are happy to say that they have come in. They're very effective teachers, and they provide quality instruction. Without Teach for America, it'd be hard to staff our schools because we do have a large teacher shortage. So we are very happy to have partnership with Teach for America, and we hope to continue to do so.
Thank you for your comments. Ms. Butler?
Hi, my name is Roxana Butler. I'm the assistant principal at Marksville High School in DeVos Parish. As an administrator at Marksville High, it's critical to staff our schools with highly qualified teachers. However, every year we are faced with the shortage of qualified teachers in DeVos Parish. Teach for America has allowed our schools to have highly qualified teachers for our students. Since I began working in DeVos Parish in 2011, I've had the great pleasure of working with 19 young, energetic teachers who have met and exceeded our expectations. Out of those 19, 4 have stayed on in DeVos Parish to work at Marksville High School beyond their 2-year contract. Not only are our students exposed to Teach for America, teachers gain more than just a qualified teacher. They're exposed to teachers from different parts of the country. When students are exposed to these teachers who have different opinions, experiences, and cultures, it creates students who are well-rounded and open-minded. Many of the TFAs that have graced the halls at Marksville High School have had some of the best test scores in the district. These teachers are extremely hardworking, and they make a lasting impact on our students. My daughter, who is now a junior in high school, fondly reflects upon her teacher, Miss Gill, who was her 8th grade Algebra 1 teacher. She currently says, "Man, Mom, if I had her as my teacher, probably wouldn't be doing so bad in advanced math." But just that having that impact, that she can reflect upon a teacher who gave her all, because my daughter hates math, but she loved Miss Gill and she loved the way that she taught and the experience that she gave to her. That year, my daughter went from having approaching basic on her 7th grade leap to passing the EOC with 1 point from an excellent, In conclusion, I strongly support TFA because without them, the students in the Vols Parish will be left without qualified teachers. And it's hard to tell a parent when they come into your office that they can't, that you have a sub in a classroom when I have an opportunity to put a qualified teacher in there. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Butler. Michael DeResto, Jonathan Burtz, may not say that correctly, with KIPP New Orleans Schools. Ed from Iberville, I don't understand the last name, Canciana, and Lucas Spryfogel. Michael? Yeah, please.
Thank you. I'm Michael DeResto, Senior Vice President for Economic Competitiveness at the Baton Rouge Area Chamber. BRAC leads economic development efforts in the 9-parish capital area and believes strongly that public education is a critical component of economic development. We advocate strongly on behalf of strategies that improve student achievement, that prepare students for college and career, and help them take advantage of the opportunities afforded by the expanding Baton Rouge area economy. As such, BRAC supports Teach for America as a critical program for bringing much-needed human capital into underserved schools. The quality of a teacher in a classroom is a great predictor and determinant of student achievement. Particularly for low-performing, low-income schools, high-quality teachers are difficult to secure. In South Louisiana, the TFA program has played an important role in providing motivated, spirited teachers in often challenging learning environments. BRAC supports the role of TFA as a key talent pipeline for our region's educational improvement, and we would ask that you continue to support the partnership between the state and the TFA. Thank you.
Appreciate your inputs. Jonathan?
Good afternoon. My name is Jonathan Birch. I grew up here in Baton Rouge and was a 2001 Teach for America Corps member in New Orleans. Today I'm with KIPP New Orleans Schools. We're a charter organization in New Orleans that serves about 4,200 students in grades K through 12 across 10 schools. And I'm here to talk in support of Teach for America. Since over the past 10 years, when KIPP New Orleans first started, right before Hurricane Katrina, we've had close to 200 Teach for America alumni and Corps members who've helped build our organization. Those teachers have shown unparalleled dedication and hard work and have really helped grow our organization from 1 school to 10 today. Today we have about 40 TFA Corps members and 90 TFA alumni that work as part of an overall team of about 500 educators. And I'd just like to tell you about a couple of those Teach for America alumni very briefly. Joey LaRoche is the principal of KIPP Renaissance High School. He's a New Orleans native, a graduate of New Orleans Public Schools. And he started as a teacher through Teach for America. Today he's the principal of KIPP Renaissance High School. A few weeks ago, KIPP Renaissance was named as the high school in the state of Louisiana with the most growth between the previous year and this year, growing from a letter grade of a D to a B. We're very proud of that, and under Joey's leadership, we're confident that his students are on a clear path to college. Another Teach for America alumna, Scarlett Feinberg, started teaching in 2003. In 2006, she became a 5th grade teacher with KIPP. She's taught over the past 10 years, and today she leads our alumni support effort. So she spends 3 days a week driving to colleges in Louisiana and Mississippi to check in on our alumni to make sure that they're on track to graduate from college. Again, her dedication to students is really unparalleled. Joey and Scarlett are just 2 examples of hundreds of Teach for America Corps members and alumni across the state of Louisiana who are making a really positive impact for students. And I encourage you all to continue the relationship with Teach for America because I do believe that the students at KIPP and students across the state of Louisiana are better for it. Thanks very much.
Appreciate your input. Superintendent?
Ed Constantine, Superintendent Iberville. Revenues are short. Iberville Parish sincerely thanks the State Board and the State Superintendent for prioritizing and sustaining TFA, and a special thank you to Brian Adams for his outstanding leadership.
Thank you. Is Lucas here? Youth Coalition? Oh,
yes.
Okay.
Hello again. Again, I'm Lucas Spielfogel, and I'm the Executive Director of the Baton Rouge Youth Coalition, but that was not what I was originally brought to Baton Rouge to do. I was a 2010 Teach for America Corps member. Before being selected to Teach for America, I had never even considered being remotely involved in the field of education, and I hadn't even planned on visiting Baton Rouge. Now I've been here for 6 years. So I think Teach for America is bringing people into the fold who had no prior interest or knowledge in this field, and certainly not entering some of the most challenging schools. But many of them are actually staying beyond their 2 years, whether it's in the classroom or to continue the work outside the classroom. And I think you've heard a lot about the success of Teach for America teachers, but Teach for America is also doing a tremendous amount to build pipelines and resource webs outside of the classroom. One of those is the Baton Rouge Youth Coalition, which was founded by a 2005 Teach for America Corps member and was passed on to me, a 2010 Corps member. And the reason we're able to keep our operation so lean and efficient financially is because the current Teach for America Corps members and alumni in this region serve as volunteers to our fellows like Markayla, who you heard from. The other thing is that Teach for America is breaking cycles of generational poverty and seeing students who were once in those under-resourced schools actually coming back through to teach those same children who are facing the same kinds of resource gaps they once did. One of those students is Dominique Ricks. You may have read about him or heard him speak even. He was the very first Baton Rouge Youth Coalition Fellow and was taught by a high school teacher at Bel Air High who was a Teach for America Corps member. Dominique came from an extremely poverty-stricken background. His parents hadn't graduated from high school, and today he is a full scholarship recipient and graduate from the University of Wisconsin-Madison. He is a Teach for America Corps member and was just named Iberville's Teacher of the Year, Iberville Middle School's Teacher of the Year, and is currently pursuing the district level Teacher of the Year. And he plans to be the governor of Louisiana one day. So these are the kinds of, and I know that we kind of giggle at that, but the truth is he's capable of doing it. And it's all because of the obstacles that were removed and the resources that were provided by his mentors who were Teach for America Corps members. So with an organization that's as large and kind of nationwide as TFA is, it's of course going to be subject to the kinds of criticisms that you've heard today. But I have been able to see very concrete personal examples of the kinds of successes that Teach for America Corps members, alumni, and staff are having on students every single day. And if all those students could line up here today and speak to you, they would say the exact same thing. So I'm obviously here in support of them, and I hope that you are too.
Thank you, Lucas. I have one additional card. Michael Tipton does not wish to speak, but he's in support of the recommendation. That concludes public comment. Any further discussion from the board? Ms. Hill?
Yes, I'd like to take each contract separately, the Louisiana State University Baton Rouge contract separately, to vote separately on them instead of voting together, if that's okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Mr. Gill, I just want it noted on the record that I'll recuse myself.
Okay. Okay, so any further discussion before we take these independently? Dr. Moranti?
I am concerned that they'll probably say this is heretical. But I've seen the contributions of TFA in Louisiana. And I am always and have been associated with traditional teacher training in the universities. And I just do not consider it an either-or situation. But TFA is consistently being asked to come and defend their presence in our state, and they have given excellent service to our state. So we look at it as a but and I know that at Xavier University, I'm so proud to say that we bring all the private providers to our table on a regular basis to hear how we can support and help one another. So I'll just speak in support of this. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Moranti. Dr. Beebe?
I struggle with this decision because I know firsthand the challenges we have within our traditional public schools, and it was created by way of the legislature and this board through ineffective policies. But as I move forward, and I've heard the conversations and I applaud those who came today, in support of the TFA core members, and I respect any teacher in the classroom. I know the challenges of the classroom because I'm in it, if not daily, weekly. So I think it was either the beginning of the year or maybe the latter part of last year, I voted in support of this contract, and I find myself, I will likely vote in support of the contract because, again, we have a critical teacher shortage. It would be very selfish of me to vote otherwise. I do support our local universities. I support our Louisiana citizens, and it's unfortunately the young lady who sat and said that she named her degrees and she's unable to secure a job in Louisiana. That is a travesty. And so when we make this vote, I will make it because of the, we have created this culture, and we are dependent on TFA. I mean, that's the reality. And I will put children first. And so I'm finished my discussion here.
Any further discussion from the board members? Okay, we'll take each contract independently. The first one, do I have a motion to approve the LSU contract? Dr. Moranti, seconded by Ms. Bradford. Any objection to that motion? Do I have a motion to approve the TFA contract? Ms. Bradford, and I got a little tongue twisted. Dr. Moranti and Ms. Jones recuses herself from this vote.
And I abstain from the vote.
You're going to abstain from the vote also? Okay. Any objection to that motion? Noted Ms. Hill has abstained and Ms. Jones has recused herself. Okay, motion carries. Next item.
On page 44, item 4.2, consideration of federal state grants and allocations to LEAs, Type 2 charters, Type 5 charters, approved non-public schools and community-based organizations, competitive and other. Recommendation is to approve.
Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Mr. Romer, seconded by Mr. Garvey. Superintendent White.
Members, let me just highlight for you that these are predominantly federal funds that are being allocated to school systems per specific grant programs that have been created. However, let me highlight a new program been created over the last 6 months, and that is it merges several policies that you have passed and puts federal dollars to work to make those programs go. That is our $4 million in our Opportunity Grant program, which will allow local school systems to build the capacities regarding Jumpstart pathways specific to students with disabilities, who now through both Act 833 and through the Law 1 diploma that you have created, have the opportunity to achieve career credentials and a diploma as never before. This funds that initiative and will go to school systems across the state. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Superintendent White. I have one card, Ms. Jeffers.
Good morning again. I guess I wanted to speak because I'm concerned about some of these schools receiving additional funding and why some schools are receiving more than other schools. For example, Clark, which is a first-line school, received $27,500. Cohen College Prep, $100,000, and Crocker College Prep, which is run by the same people, $35,000. KIPP, $35,000. However, those are the same schools that are being funded by Walton Family Foundation, which is Walmart, the Broad Foundation, which Mr. White and Mr. Dobar are familiar with, the Eli and Edith Broad Foundation. They're also funding KIPP Foundation and KIPP schools $6.6 million. Gates is funding First Line Schools $588,000 and KIPP schools $3.8 million. Walton gives KIPP Foundation schools the last 3 years that were available in the tax returns, $25 million. In First Line, $250,000. The Doris and Donald Fisher Fund and their family, which is connected to the GAP. They give KIPP schools and foundation $8.1 million, and that was just from 2010 to 2012. The Charter School Growth Fund, KIPP schools, 2011 to 2013, gave them $11.7 million. In KIPP New Orleans, specifically $1.6. And this was all published in the New Orleans Tribune May issue, and it's coming from tax return documents. Laura and John Arnold Foundation gave KIPP Foundation $2.4 million. And New Schools Venture Fund gave First Line Schools $114,000 and KIPP Foundation $1.1 million. So I'm looking at how much money was allocated, and it said that these are the high-need schools, the priority schools, but it seems like those are some of the same schools. Whereas KIPP received $35,000, Walker Landry only received $1,000. In Berman, these are all charter high-need schools in New Orleans. Berman only received $1,500. Success Prep Academy, $12,000. Those are just the same schools that are receiving all this money and funding from national federal foundations.
Appreciate your comments. Any further discussion from the board? Any objection to the motion? Motion carries. Next item.
Next item is on page 64, item 5.1, consideration of an update report on RSD capital projects. The recommendation is to receive.
We have a motion to receive. Ms. Bradford, seconded by Mr. Romer. I'm going to go to the public comment. We have 3 cards. Mr. Buckley is one. Ms. Jeffers and Kawane Smith. If I said that properly. Go ahead, Mr. Buckley.
Again, my name is Frank Buckley from New Orleans, Louisiana. My concern about the RSD project is that I'm trying to figure out what happened to the FEMA money. I'm a taxpayer, been living in New Orleans all my life.
Would you mind pulling the microphone a little closer?
FEMA sent $1 8/10 billion to renovate, refurbish, and rebuild schools. As of today, a number of those schools that received money to be refurbished have yet to be rebuilt. You have John McDonald that's still sitting on Esplanade with $40 million. You have Mark Morial that has yet to be rebuilt, and there's a lot of other schools in our cities that have yet to be rebuilt. I've seen an article written in the NOLA.com saying that RSD is saying that there are $350 million in the hole in construction. So my concern as a taxpayer, and I'm trying to figure out what happened. How do you go from having $1 8/10 billion, and all the money was allocated for different schools, all the money was there, and now we're $350 million in the hole. You have schools that have been converted to apartments. We have schools that just shut down and just sitting there, just molding away. I'm concerned, and I'm trying to figure out, will somebody, maybe the United Nations, may have to come in and do an audit as to what happened to $1 8/10 billion that was allocated from FEMA after Hurricane Katrina to do those things. Where is the money? Thank you.
Appreciate your input. Ms. Jeffers, are you? And Wayne?
Good evening, or good day, afternoon. I want to start by saying, thank you to 2 of our outgoing BESE members from this year for your service. Just want to recognize you right now. But this question is for Ms. Orange, my representative. Thank you for your service too. It's in regards to some of the work that's being done by the Recovery School District. The question is in regards to the scope and the involvement of the transfer of property in the 7th Ward. It was just recently brought to my attention that KIPP had decided to finance their own construction of a school building. And it was underneath the pretense that KIPP would do that if the Recovery School District came through with a parcel of property. I'm not quite sure how to direct this question, who would direct it to, but I'm directed to my my representative that maybe Mr. Dobar or someone within the Recovery School District can speak to me about their involvement or answer the question to their involvement in that transfer of property. And I don't know if anyone can speak to it now.
I'll answer the question. This is not really a question and answer forum, but I'll speak to it.
Okay.
I'm John White.
Hi, John.
How are you? The board, the Recovery School District and the FEMA plan generally is not meant to rebuild every school building in Orleans Parish. It's meant to bring us to a point of recovery from the damage that was done after the floods of 2005. In light of that, we want to cover as many kids as we possibly can to make sure that every child is in a renovated, refurbished, or new school building. The Recovery School District had the opportunity to save $20 million and not expand elementary school seats, but instead add high school seats through a public-private partnership with KIPP, where KIPP pays for the real estate under one of their school buildings. There is not any land being given to a private entity, however. All of the land under these projects is owned by the Orleans Parish School Board, and the Recovery School District is the steward of the property until such time as the schools return. So there is no property that's being deeded to any private entity that was previously under the ownership of the Orleans Parish School Board.
Okay, I would still be looking forward to more dialogue in reference to those people involved in that. And the second part of my question, or the second question that I have, and this was for you, John. Some years ago on Esplanade, you spoke with a parent at a forum. It wasn't a forum, it might have been some type of rollout that they were having at John Mack about the future of the school. And the question was asked, is this school going to be available for the students and the teachers that are presently in this particular school? And you responded that, yes, the school is for those students. And in the most recent past, there were some changes. And I'm just hoping that maybe you can shed a little light and kind of help me understand what changed, what happened. Why did the commitment that you made to the woman about the students and those educators in that building, why was that commitment not followed through?
I would prefer, I'll give a short answer. I would just prefer henceforth for us to take questions like this. If you want to speak with Mr. Dobar, you're more than welcome to.
Okay.
I will just say quickly that actually that commitment was followed through on. That was 5 years ago. All of those kids continue to be served in that building if they continue to enroll at that time. Now recently, 4 years after that fact, we said we were going to, after the renovation of the school building, convert the school to being an elementary school. I think it's important to note that the most important decision in all of this was that it was under my administration that we took John McDonough off the land bank list. It was going to be consigned. It was going to be apartments. We took it off that list. This board committed to $43 million in that building. It's currently under design, and that's going to be a brand new building in a year and a half. So I think it's a positive story there. Appreciate the questions, and if you have further questions, Patrick Dobart in the Recovery School District can answer.
All right, I don't have any further questions, but I would like to say...
Thank you for your input.
I thank you too, but I would like to say you did answer the woman's question with after renovations.
Thank you for your input. Any further discussion on this item? Any objection to the motion? Motion carries. Next item.
On page 165, item 5.2, consideration of RSD contracts and leases of $50,000 and over. The recommendation is to approve.
Do I have a motion to approve? Mr. Romer, seconded by Mr. Garvey. Any discussion on this item?
Could you just give me a second, please?
It's on page 165, Dr. Peavy.
Thank you, Mr. Yeah.
Any questions?
No.
Okay. Any objection? Motion carries. Next item.
On page 172, item 6.1, consideration of 8G program and budget revisions and/or progress reports on statewide or block grant programs for fiscal year 2015-2016. Note on this one to remove the last item listed on the last program listed, which was already approved at the October meeting. The recommendation is to approve.
Clarify that one more time, Captain, please.
And could you please speak up?
Sure.
Thank you.
The final item listed, the final program on this item.
You're talking about
which
the
was-
principal coaching?
Yes, principal coaching and TAP expansion. That was approved at the October meeting and should not have been on this list.
Okay.
So we'll just be removing it.
Okay. Okay, so do I have a motion to approve this item? Ms. Bradford, seconded by Ms. Jones. Any discussion on this item? Any objection? Motion carries. Next item.
On page 177, item 8.1, consideration of an update report regarding the Minimum Foundation Program Task Force. Recommendation is to receive.
Do I have a motion to receive, Dr. Moranti? A second? Mr. Garvey, thank you. We have one comment card which we'll go to, and then we'll give a brief update of the MFP. Ashley, if you'd come up, please.
Mr. Guyot,
Yes,
if I
ma'am.
may, while the young lady's coming to the table, on page 44, 4.2, I would like to, before you adjourn your committee meeting, go back. I'd like to recuse myself on page 53, opportunity grant. St. Martin is a recipient.
We'll note that.
Okay.
Okay. Did you get that, Abby? Yes. Okay. Yes, thank you. Ashley?
Good afternoon, Ashley McReynolds, parent from East Baton Rouge Parish and a member of the MFP Task Force. I just wanted to actually clarify, if you look at the draft minutes that were sent out, the request that was made by myself at the last MFP Task Force was not to look at how Act 467 impacted the local share of funding sent to charter schools. In fact, I clarified it at the end is to look at how charter schools receive local shares in direct relation to the revised statute 173995. So I just wanted to point that out and hopefully get it clarified so we can have that discussion tomorrow at the task force, not discuss Act 467 in relation to the local share.
Okay, thank you, Ashley.
Thank you.
Dr. Moranti, did you pull this item? Did you want a general update?
Appreciate it.
So you need, go ahead, Joe.
And I might ask Joan, maybe you could come and just work with me on this. So I believe the question is, the issue has been raised by a legacy type 2 charter school as to, I believe, Dr. Moranti, why Act 847 is taking effect over the domain of this school. Is that correct? Our legal interpretation has been what it is before, which is that we are applying this to all charter schools, and that remains our position on this issue. I believe that we have been in dialogue with the party who attended the meeting prior to, and over the course of that time, I don't believe we've reached perfect resolution. There have been a number of concerns, one of which Ms. McReynolds just raised about the interpretation of this law and which schools it should affect and which schools it should not. Our interpretation has been that it shall affect all traditional districts and charter schools equally. And Joan, if there's more to add, please go ahead and do.
That's correct. That is our interpretation.
That has been the status. Now, does that certainly the board is welcome, Dr. Moranti, to seek an additional opinion on this. We always work well with the Attorney General's office, and to the degree that is a source of an additional opinion on this, we would welcome the opportunity to work with the board on that if that's what is called for.
Thank you, Superintendent White. I would comment before we vote, there is another MFP task force meeting tomorrow afternoon at 1 o'clock. I'm not sure the room, Thomas Jefferson room. where it's kind of the add-on to this particular meeting where we'll have more dialogue and discussion. So any objection to receiving this report? Okay, motion carries. That concludes admin and finance, and 1:10 a good time to start the next committee meeting?
Yes, about 30 minutes from now.
Okay, 30 minutes.